Have you ever been made to feel like you're losing your mind? Like you can't remember things accurately anymore? That you're remembering things all wrong? Like you're getting them all wrong? Have you heard things like, I've already apologised 1,000 times when they didn't? Or, I didn't say that when they did? You are not going crazy. You are being gaslit. Gaslighting is one of the most manipulative tactics out there, and in the next few minutes I'm going to show you how to spot the signs and what to do about it. I'm Amanda Craven, a clinical hypnotherapist, life coach, psychologist and author specialising in narcissistic abuse and emotional trauma. Today I'm going to help you easily recognise gaslighting and protect yourself from it so that you can become and remain empowered even within a toxic relationship. Be sure to watch right till the end, where I will share with you 5 ways you can stop being gaslighted ever again. So, what is gaslighting? In a few moments, I'm going to give you some examples so that you can know what it sounds like. But first of all, let's define it. It is a form of psychological manipulation. It is deliberate. It is a tactic that makes you believe you have lost your hold on reality, that your memory is failing, and that your perception is inaccurate or completely untrue. As with all narcissistic behaviours, the primary aim of gaslighting is to retain control over you, and this is done by confusing you and destabilising you. Rest assured that if you have experienced gaslighting, you are not going mad. In the next few minutes, I'm going to give you some examples, and then we are going to look at ways you can protect yourself from this. Here are some examples of what gaslighting might sound like. See how many you recognise. Number 1, denial. Outright denying that something ever happened. You might hear, that never happened. I didn't say that. Number 2, minimising your feelings. You're overreacting again. You're just too sensitive. Denying the fact that you are feeling something and making you suppress or ignore your own gut feeling, your own emotions that are there to give you messages, that are there to guide you. So effectively, this tactic is shutting down your ability to guide yourself. Number 3, negatively reframing your reactions to something. So they might say to you, you were shouting and screaming, you were so furious, when all you actually did was perhaps raise your voice or attempt to be more assertive in what you wanted to say. Number 4, rewriting history. They might say something like, I never said that, you always twist my words, or I wouldn't call it an affair as such, when that's exactly what it was. Number 5, shifting the blame. If you weren't so difficult, then I wouldn't have to act this way. Number 6, using others against you, even if that means inventing stories and outright lying about what other people have or haven't said. So you might hear, everybody agrees with me that you're being completely irrational, when nobody else had said anything, but they say it with such conviction that you believe them. Number 7, projection. This is a classic narcissistic trait. They project onto you a behaviour or accusations of things that they are actually doing. So they might accuse you of being unfaithful, of overstepping the mark in something, when actually that reveals to you, once you know how this works, that they are the ones having an affair or being inappropriate, crossing a line, etc. Now, let's look at how these tactics actually impact you. First and foremost, you start to doubt yourself and you question your memory, even when something inside of you knows that you remembered it right. You feel constantly anxious and find yourself apologizing all the time, even when something is not your fault. You find yourself relying more and more on the narcissist's version of events, and you need to check in with them to confirm and validate you more and more. You struggle to make decisions without their approval. You might experience some form of dissociation where there is a disconnect between yourself and the outside world because you are now so unsure of what is real and what isn't. And you may stay in the relationship in order to prove that you were right and to get them to see that you were right, or to attempt to fix things in some way. In short, being on the receiving end of gaslighting is not nice. It's not a great place to be in. But the good news is, by becoming aware of the patterns of this behaviour as a whole, you can begin to take actions that will help you break free. Let's look at some of the ways you can do this. Number 1, start practicing listening to your gut once more. You will have shut this down over the period of this abuse and gaslighting, but you can begin to check in again, to listen to what your gut feeling is telling you, and then start taking some actions to honour it. Number 2, keep a basic journal. Keep track of all the behaviours that you're experiencing, of the incidents of gaslighting, so that you can see the patterns over time. You can track this behaviour, and this is going to reinforce your awareness. Number 3, reality check with people you can trust. Talk to people who you can confide in, who you absolutely know will listen to you and believe you. You may have a friend or a colleague who you can talk to, or you may be able to seek out a support group or a therapist. Number 4, don't engage in these circular arguments. It is really compelling to try and get them to see that they are wrong and you are right. But I'm afraid you will never be right in the eyes of a narcissist. So disengage and withdraw from these discussions that go round and round. My Empowered Woman Collective is an online coaching and support group, especially for women like you who have experienced these forms of emotional trauma and abuse. If you'd like to know more, I'll pop a link down below, so check it out and see if this could help you with some of those things I've just mentioned. Okay, at the beginning I promised you I'd share 5 ways that you can use to stop being gaslighted. Here they are. Number 1, strengthen your self-trust. Reconnect with your inner voice. Keep practicing listening to your gut feeling and create a mantra or 2 for yourself. You could say something along the lines of, I trust myself, I listen to my body, or I believe in myself, I know my truth. something that you can repeat as many times as you can each and every day until you actually believe what you're saying. Number 2, set clear boundaries. Refuse to accept their distorted version of the truth. And again, prepare in advance a sentence or a statement that you can just repeat each time they try and get you to believe something that they are saying rather than what you know is the truth. So something simple like, I remember it differently and I'm not going to argue about it. Period. And that's the end of the discussion. Don't get involved in that cycle that we just talked about. Number 3, practice emotional detachment. You now know that what they're saying is manipulation and not the truth. So practice observing what they're doing. And maybe in your mind you can say something like, I know what you're doing. This is manipulation, so that you are disengaging from what they're actually saying and not feeling drawn in or affected by it. Let them get on with it. Let them live in this world full of lies and manipulation. You don't need to be sucked into it anymore because you know what's going on. Number 4. This is time to prioritize healthy relationships. Ensure that you surround yourself or build up connections with people who you can trust. As I said before, this may be a friend, a colleague, a sympathetic family member. It may be a therapist or a coach or an online support group, but ensure that you are able to counterbalance the manipulation whilst you're in that situation with healthier behaviours that are modelled by healthier people. Number 5, go no contact or low contact if you can't completely cut ties. This relationship, this dynamic is unhealthy. It's damaging for your mental health and your physical health. So you need to be working towards setting yourself free from this relationship. In the meantime, you can practice the tactics that I've shared with you, but ultimately you want to be working towards this cutting ties. In my next video, I'm going to be talking at length about how you can go no contact or low contact in the meantime. So look out for that coming next week. Remember that you're not imagining things, you're not going crazy. If something feels off, it's because it is. Gaslighting is abuse, and you deserve to be treated with respect. You can and will reclaim your power. Until next time, take great care.